Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Odd Ones. I'm Bjorn, and this is my beautiful, gorgeous wife, Lara, over there with the red hair. Just in case you're confused by any other ladies in the room right now.
With the hair.
Yep. So Lara's going to be running the ship today. So I feel kind of awkward in this position because normally I'm the one running the ship. But before we get started, I wanted to say a couple things. First of all, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all the other good stuff. Check out socials down in the comments, or not comments, what is it called? Description.
Yeah.
And also we have our email down below. So if you want to leave some kind of, email for us to check out and go over and the videos or anything like that, leave it there. I really got inspiration more so than normal because today we had somebody reach out to us, and mainly for Lara, but she reached out to us, just had some concerns, and I'm going to try to stay in contact with her and help her out and see if she wouldn't mind us reading her story on here and kind of helping her out on here so we can help more people and she can help us and help you guys with her story. So,
before you move past that, can I just make a comment on that?
Absolutely.
So on social media, we are Odd Ones. So I was actually in a, there's groups and then you get your feed and then you get the friends and all that. So, a comment had come through and I responded to a comment, about something, and that really opened the door. And I didn't expect, I honestly thought that it was a spammer because
I did too.
and it's hard to fish through that when you get, for anybody who has a Facebook, a Facebook business page or an Instagram business page or any of those, they will, like, spammers will act as if they're Meta and, if you don't do XYZ, we're going to take your page down, anything to rile somebody up.
Or they'll just try to read your fortune.
No, that. Or say, we want you to sponsor a product or be a sugar baby or whatever it is. Anyway, I was very inspired by that. I really love coming on here and doing it.
Yep.
And especially when you guys comment, and that we've had comments that have led to other videos, which shame on you if you haven't watched, because you should, because it's a good time being able to interact on that level. But being able to real time have a discussion with somebody.
Yep.
Or an email, being able to send that correspondence, I don't know, back and forth, is even more exciting. And, obviously we're not professionals, at this, at least. It was much like you, very inspiring for me to be able to, help somebody else in a position with our life experience. And that's all this is life experience. Yep. and taking you guys on that journey with us. And I think too, what not only inspired me to help somebody, but really inspired me to put the fuel on the fire here, or the foot on the pedal. I don't know. Words.
Gas on the fire.
Yeah. You know what I mean. And hopefully y'all do too. Was you encouraging me. That was super special because, it's no secret here, but I'm going to let you guys in, and now it won't be a secret. The powerhouse to what we do is Bjorn. You do all the editing. When we're trying to get better about being on social media and keeping up with everything, it is hard when you have your regular full-time job, then you have 3 teens in a household. Yeah. 1 teen is enough. 3 of them is a good time. It can be overwhelming at times to keep up with everything while still trying to maintain that. Being able to get on there and see somebody find value in the things that we said took it to that next level.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
The passion that you already have, first of all, thank you for keeping this going, because I really do love it. And Bjorn will tell you today, I've been level 10 hype about it.
Just my passion.
Yeah. And I'm passionate about what we do and about sharing this stuff. And I've really come to love talking to you guys and talking with you about things that are important. But there is something super inspiring about being able to share this with the world
Yeah,
and know that we're bringing value. So,
absolutely.
and thank you for your encouragement because
Yeah, you're
that
doing
was
a great
good.
job helping somebody, and that I appreciate seeing you do that. And about the emails, just try to keep it relatively clean, and we will bleep out any names. So, preferably don't share names. You shouldn't share a name with strangers, even if you think you know us. We're still strangers. We haven't met in real life. We haven't built a personal relationship. So,
I think it pops up on their email if they have a profile though. So we'll
yeah,
keep it all anonymous,
yeah,
even if we know your
it
name.
will definitely be anonymous. We won't be sharing any names. We'll actually black it out before we start recording, so we don't accidentally say it or something like that.
Lucinda from Down Under.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
I have no idea. LaRonda from Down Under. Um, and then the next thing before we get into it is our next book. The next book that we're going to be covering is uh, I was reading the How to Train Your Dragon.
I thought about that when you said it earlier.
What is it? The gamer one.
Raising a healthy gamer.
Yes, we will get back to that. I keep on pushing it off to the side because these other things are much more deep than gaming related things, and also Aaron hasn't been playing as many video games. So this book is called No One Is
Throw
Coming.
him under the bus.
But he hasn't been playing as many video games.
The reason we read the book in general.
But No One Is Coming to Save You by Christopher Burkett. And you might know that name. You might know who this guy is. If you are on our channel, you might know who he is. He is one of the co-hosts of, or one of the co-host.
He
is a co-host.
He's the host slash
Yes.
co-host
Him
with
and his wife, they do To Be Better, great podcast, especially the beginning stuff. Now it's a lot of lives, so pretty much if you're not on their paid stuff, you're not getting the same kind of quality as you did before, but still great information, great people. I highly recommend listening to them. I will have the link down below. For this book, I'm only into chapter 1, so I can't say if it's good or bad. So far, it seems like it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, check that out. So, because that's what we're going to be reading. And I don't know exactly when these videos are going to come out. I want to read the complete book before I get into it, so we don't have another gamer situation. Because what I did with that one in previous books is took notes, read the book, read the book and took notes, and then on that chapter came and recorded, and that's where I got myself in trouble. I should have read the whole book and then made notes on it and stuff like that. But
and just to clarify and correct me if I'm wrong, that is a book geared toward men, correct?
I'm glad that you asked that because I just watched them doing a little bit of a reading of this, and he was clarifying. It's kind of funny because it's kind of like whenever I go back and listen to our videos, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's good information," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I wrote this book," but yeah, so he was saying that yes, there are parts that are geared more towards men. Like right now, what I'm reading is talking about how titles are important or not important and stuff like that, but some titles are. And Larry's trying to play footsies with me over here.
And also make sure that that screen is okay to look like that. Sorry.
I was supposed to not go into sleep mode. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, yeah, he was saying that some of it is geared towards men, but this book is for anybody. And he said it's a good book for women to read too, so they have a different perspective on their man.
Bjorn is notorious because we talk about everything. We spend a lot of our day talking. And we're fortunate enough to be able to have conversations, in between work projects and things like that. So I would say we probably talk more than the average couple, unless they work together. But when you told me you were reading that book, I guess I assumed that it was geared toward men. And then I had the idea, and I hope you guys are interested because this is something I really think will be valuable for us to do. But I like the idea of you reading a book written by a man with a male perspective or a male, I guess, how a male's mind processes things. And then me being able to hear that from your perspective, something that you've read, because we both read the 5 love languages. I read and you did a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to the gamer book. but that being said, how it would be interesting for you to read a men's kind of geared book and get my reactions on that. And that gives me insight to you and our son and, just being able to help our viewers, help you guys out, but then me being able to bring a lady's perspective book, to the table and say,
Same kind
this
of
is,
deal.
yeah.
Yep.
So I think a men's book, women's book, couples book, all that.
Yep.
Valuable. All right.
And one more thing about this book real quick. I don't know how to describe this texture, but it's kind of like
Matt.
yeah, I guess so. But it's very good texture. So if you're a texture person, you'll like this book.
I love that.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Oh, it's me. Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. We're going to give a little surprise to Bjorn today. I watched our last video. My shirt is really riding up here.
Yep, mine too.
It feels like it's like going to come up and be
it's a hood
on the other side or something. I'll get it together. So bathroom thought struck me. That's where I have all my best thoughts is in the bathroom.
Oh, you're in there enough.
IBS is a serious situation. How do I do this? Okay, I'm going to try and do it this way. The mic is adjusted like this now, where it used to be on this table, and we had to readjust because I am not good with this.
You kept on hitting it.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to say that without calling me out, but you got that covered. Anyway, I don't know where the idea really started when I thought about seasons. So happy, I don't know how many days out this will be, but happy spring, everybody. Or would you say that equinox?
Yeah, so equinox, spring equinox. I don't know exactly all the details in that. I know there's some rituals that people do.
It's spring, y'all, instead of fall, y'all.
Time to go spring cleaning.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that. You did mow the lawn today, so that.
Yep.
And the fact that it needed mowing again with your lovely grassing seeds is a first notification of spring, which really winter's great because you don't have to, not that I have to mow, thankfully. Thankful Beer Lee and Aaron Lee. But happy spring.
Yep.
Growth. I was thinking about how great I felt over the last 2 days, like a whole. Even though I'm still like recovering from being sick, like my personality is almost like it came back. And I don't know about you guys, but like winter is when I start feeling the whatever. I like spring. I like summer.
I heard this probably. This must have been right at the new year or right after, maybe in February. On one of the podcasts that I listened to, they were talking about how it doesn't really make sense to have your New Year's resolution on the first of the year because it's still cold outside, it's still dark, all this other stuff. Why not do it during the spring equinox?
Right.
So Lara, what is one thing that you want to do in the new spring year?
Oh, you can't throw a kink into my works like that.
Kink? Whoa.
Well, that'll do. That'll be my new goal. I saw your eyebrows lift your glasses in my mind. Besides the channel.
Yeah, that was gonna be my thing.
Yeah. Really, really honing in on this, but we're talking about tonight was a pseudo date night. We went to go pick up dinner and then come back and pick up a notebook that we're going to be using together, which means a lot to me. And I was thinking about,
it'd be cool after we filled this up, after we're YouTube famous, we sell that book.
I think immediately when you said when we're YouTube famous, he makes the joke, but we are not in here to be famous. We really are here to help you guys, but we would like to have this be our full-time job because doing this with you guys is incredible, and doing this with each other, it means a lot to us. But yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but
get a signed copy of it.
I have a really hard time letting go of a completed.
Whoever is our 1,000th subscriber.
Don't give it away.
Whoever is our 1,000th subscriber, because that's whenever you get monetized on YouTube. Whoever is our 1,000th subscriber and emails us saying, I'm your 1,000th subscriber, because sometimes it has a lag.
How would they know?
Huh?
Oh, like that'd be the new thing,
You would see
everybody.
it. Yeah, it would be like 999, and
So
then
if you're
click it.
somewhere between the 990s and whatever, start saying I'm the 1,000th.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how you have to sign all your emails.
Yep.
The 1,000th subscriber.
Whenever that person emails in, I'll see it, and then they will get this book signed by Lara and myself. And yeah, we'll send it off to you.
Yay.
We have a long way to go, so don't worry. We have plenty of
It'll
time to fill it up.
Nah, it'll be here before if it's not filled. I will draw custom art pieces,
Oh, that'd be
little
cool.
ones on each thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you asked me a question.
Yeah, what is your springtime resolution?
My New Year, New Me resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would really like to get us all. We are outdoorsy people in general,
Mm-hmm.
and we are health conscious and relationship, and all that conscientious relationships with the kids, relationships with each other. But I think just yeah, was it the last video we posted or one of the more recent ones? There's been a lot of change in our lives, my life personally. But it is going to be doing things that are important to me, the goals, and being consistent with that. So,
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, mine would be, working on the channel a lot more than what I have, being more consistent with that, and then not losing weight, not gaining muscle, but just being more healthy. That'd be my other one.
I feel like it's a lot less pressure when you're looking at it from a quality of life versus a quality of exterior, because we all want to do that. So, spring goals. And then I started thinking about, how quickly winter went by. And then I started thinking about our relationship and how, throughout all the challenges that we have faced, because we're next Wednesday, so the 26th, or whatever day this posts, the 26th of March will be our 6-year wedding anniversary.
Yep.
It feels like we've been together our entire lives. Like, this 6 does not accurately articulate what we've been through and the things that we've lived together and done together. But it also feels like we just got together because I still have that puppy dog love for you. And so
I feel the same way.
Get all emotional.
Damn it, woman, shed one tear, for God's sakes.
I can't.
That's how we make the money here.
Anyway, I've cried enough on these. So our relationship has been through a number of seasons. When we first got together, we were super trendy and met at the coffee shop when we were dating, and you would wear the button-up shirts with the little whatever on it, and then
cuff.
And then we got into skateboarding really heavily, and then our music taste, and we were real country for a little bit, and fishing, and interest.
Now we're kayaking.
Yeah. So an example for me of relationship seasons were interest in hobbies, fishing. We got on a grill or walk. You got on a grill or walk outside, walking, not walking, but okay. Our hyperfixations, the music, the books, the movies, the content creators. If you guys ever get on I found this person, I'm going to watch all their content.
I'll put it this way. Whenever Lara and I first met, I was really into Game Grumps at the time, and now
little kid.
Yeah. And now I'm more into a lot of murder mystery. Whenever it's just entertainment, it'd be murder mystery. But then if it's not entertainment and it's more education,
while he sips on his Starbucks.
Yep. Who?
Murder mystery.
Yeah, because most women are watching that. But the other thing is, relationship podcast and business, kind of more educational things like that, and self-help and all those good things.
Right. Oh.
History stuff.
The ooh was toward the dogs getting onto each other. And then there are life moments that are seasonal. When you have little ones, it's such a beautiful stage of their life where they're
Mhm.
discovering everything, and like you could tell them whatever you want, and they're like, "Oh, mom and dad said this. I totally believe it." And then there's like the less fun part about changing poopy diapers, or
Mhm.
having to keep eyes on them 24/7. The a little bit more restrictive, though it's got its own nuances that
Mhm.
are equally as beautiful. And then, as they start to become more autonomous and can do things for themselves, you get that little taste of, oh, I don't have to wipe a butt. That's wonderful. They're sleeping through the night, hopefully for your
Yeah.
sake. Then they kind of revert in the teenage stage where they're not sleeping at all. Um, and then as your
Or they
kids,
sleep all the time.
yes, true. Or your kids become the
Oh,
preteens
hold on.
and
Can we talk about that for a second? So, whenever I was a teenager,
mhm.
um, like just getting into probably like 13, 14 years old, um, I would stay up all the time and sleep all through the day. Well, there was one time that I went over to my grandma's house, and this will come into play later. But I had a Coke bottle collection, right? So I had like tall Coke bottles and stuff like that, and glass bottles and all this good stuff. And so I went over to my grandma's house, and I was sick. She gave me some antibiotics. She's a nurse, whatever. And I come back home, and I didn't have anywhere to put them, so I was like, "Well, I'll just put them in my Coke bottle," right? And again, I was sleeping all the time, and I remember my mom came out, and I was like sleeping on the freaking. It was always so nice during like springtime or fall. She had like a porch swing, and
Oh my
I'd
gosh.
go out there and sleep in the
I
sun and all
bet
that
that
good
was
stuff.
amazing.
And so she came up to me one time, and she was like,
Oops.
um, of course, this is before I changed my name. So she, Dylan,
Excuse me.
and I was like, and she's like, "Can I ask you something?" I was like, "Oh God, what is it, Mom?" And she's like, "Are you on?" I can't say the word here, but are you on the chemical compounds? I was like,
How nice of a mom was she, instead of being like, I can't believe you.
well, she dealt with my brother first, okay?
Right.
So if I'm just sleeping and whatever, she's like, so she says that, and I was like, no, why do you say that? And she's like, because I had the glass bottle, these in your room. I was like, those are, antibiotics or Tylenol or whatever that Nanny gave me. And she's like, I'm gonna call your nanny and make sure. And she calls her. She's like, "Okay, good. You're still a good kid." All right, mom.
It's funny. It's like a tale as old as time. I don't know that it's so much so this generation, but previous to whenever maybe previous to when
The
chemical
chemical compounds.
compounds were so taboo. I guess now everybody does it. I don't know. Um, not not our kids. Uh,
We have a cabinet full of allergy medicine, antidepressants,
right.
and heart meds,
There are not antidepressants in there. That it's actually
anti-anxiety.
uh no, that's not even, that is like a antihistamine.
Oh,
Yeah. So it can double as an anxiety
oh, I didn't
medication.
know that.
Yep.
Okay,
Thought that was cool.
yeah, that's good.
I did tell him that.
Good job, Lara. Communication. We're here for communication.
I whispered in the mic. I did tell you that, but there
Oh,
was a lot going on at the time. Anyway, um,
I thought
when
you said you
I
didn't
was
tell me
coming
that.
home and sleeping a lot, I was also questioned, are you taking
Stop
drugs,
saying that.
chemical compounds? You could just bleep my mouth out. Um, uh, and ironically, at that time I was not, but then when I did dabble a little bit, they never
It
asked
perked you up.
questions. Yeah. Hmm. Um, so anyway, and then, we are one into four of empty nesting. So we're starting to, Aaron will be, he'll be 17 this year, and then 18, and they'll start flying the coop. Um, but that's got its own season in life. And then,
Hmm.
as you age together, and then the relationships dynamics. I was thinking about ours, where, we started off very vanilla. Not that we've ever been like just kind of bland. I don't want to say vanilla's bland. Everybody likes different things.
It's like mashed potato without the gravy.
Yeah. Yeah, or bacon and
They're
chives and
delicious.
sour cream and butter and salt and pepper and hot sauce and
They're delicious until you add the gravy, and then you're like, wow. You know what I
wow.
mean?
Well, where's this gravy been my whole life? um, so we started off with a very regular relationship. We had a lot of fun, and I don't think we've ever been regular people. But when it comes to interest, which Patreon is about to get some content because we've been talking about it, but we're
Alluding to
really
it.
alluding to it. But and not just this content, but definitely you're gonna you'll see stuff on there. So
We're going to have to, before we start making content, this is what you can look forward to. Before we start making content, read the rules and regulations to make sure what we can put on there is eligible or not. We're not going to put stuff on there that is OF appropriate. We're going to put
right.
things very close to that line, though, okay?
Feet pics. Anyway, but us going from that to our dynamic that we have now, which again, you guys probably figured it out. And that has been an evolution of who we are as people. And also being comfortable with who we are as people. You and I have always had you've always kind of been the in charge guy,
Mhm.
but at this level, like I made jokes a lot about, what I was looking for. And
Mhm.
then just one day, all of a sudden, it's like,
Rihanna.
yep. You make me swim. Or like when we first got together, the kids would go to the other parents. I thought I had a better way to say that, but their corresponding parents' house. I don't know. And we had weekends to ourselves every weekend.
Mhm.
And especially, before people moved and, remarried and such. And so we would go longboarding downtown and just an adventure when our work schedules aligned all the time.
Yep.
Where now, I think though we like the adventures, we have the kids with us pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll go off and do their own thing or go to friends' houses or whatever. But now, instead of going off on the weekend solo, we're wanting to hang out with the kids. Like we
Yep.
enjoy spending time with our children.
Yeah,
And
I
I
love
think,
going kayaking with them and
oh,
all that good stuff.
any adventures, like even if we go to the store, like we're bringing an entourage. Like I think it's notable, and it makes me proud of the work that we've put in and the people that the teens that they are too, because they're not out running the streets.
Mhm.
But they want to be with us.
Yep.
And the fact that, we can say, all right, load up. And they're like, all right, instead of, I don't want to. And
Well, there's a lot of times where we're like, all right, we are going to the store. And then they're like, can I
can I
come?
go? Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's not something where they're like the hardware store or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, can we go with you? Or,
Yeah.
hey, just get in the car. So,
Juliet's been wanting me to go freaking to the hardware store for days now.
oh,
I'm like,
that's my favorite. What was my favorite thing to go
I'm
with
just
my
like,
dad?
why? She's like, I just want to go. I was like,
Uh,
okay.
There's something magical as a young lady to go with your dad to the hardware store.
I don't think the magic's still there for her just due to the frequency at which she goes.
That might be true. And then again, I think about our career goals or our life goals as far as how we earn money, or not even how we earn money, but like when we first got together, I was working real hard on finding my place within the community
Hmm.
and within like civic groups and engagement and things like that. And, worked very hard to create a, uh, what's the word I'm looking for, or phrase I'm looking for, but create a space in like in the world
Hmm.
where I left an impact and how I thought I was going to do that. And then looking at where we are now, I never imagined, never. And I knew you had a YouTube. I didn't know first you had a YouTube.
Hmm.
I didn't understand it, what
Yeah.
you have been doing. And that's one day we'll have to link that so people can see young you. But anyway, where,
Can I back up just a hair?
yeah,
It's racking my mind. You know how I can tell I'm getting old?
it's not the gray or the silver that's coming out in your beard?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
It's the fact that people are recognizing me at hardware stores. I go to Home Depot. There's a lady there that's
You live
I know.
at least once a day.
I
There's a
know.
trip.
But yeah,
The maintenance man.
I go there to Home Depot. There's one lady at Lowe's that recognized me. I don't go there as much, but I go to Home Depot quite often. And there's one lady there that's really friendly, and she's always like, "Oh, what you working on today?" And
At Home Depot?
at Home Depot.
At the self-checkout?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's an older lady there that I'll point her out next time. But now, like, last time I left, she was like, "Oh, I'm ready for my weekend, and I'm gonna have a good weekend and everything. Today's my Friday." And then at Ace, it's the same
Oh,
thing.
everybody knows us at Ace, and
Well,
they definitely know you.
They don't know my name compared to you because you've interacted with them on a different level. But I go in there and they're like, ask everybody, "What's your Ace card?" And they're like, "Oh, well, of course you have an Ace card." And one lady was like, "Oh, you haven't made your daily trip today." Like, "Oh, here I am."
I love when we go on the weekends, like, and any of those folks are working, like
Yep.
hey, how's it going?
Yep.
So, but just thinking about like what I felt like success would be like.
Mhm.
And then that season of my life is, I still have fond memories of that and, the things that I got to experience. But now I'm on to a different season. So,
Yep.
um,
Can I talk about? I feel bad for interrupting so much.
no, I enjoy your perspective.
Today was one of the first times. Like, there's times in my career, my multiple careers that I've had, that I felt a welling up of, like, appreciation or gratitude in the job that I'm doing, and that always feels really good. And it's a very specific, like, I can list 3 times that has happened, or 3 people, 3 managers that I've had, or bosses that I've had, that made me feel that way. Today, today, getting that message and watching you interact with that person, that was success to me.
Aw.
Like, getting financial gain from work and things like that, cool. That makes me feel good, makes me feel appreciated. This makes me feel so appreciated, just watching you help somebody and knowing that our little, 38 follower Facebook page was able to at least get somebody on the right path to helping their relationship. Will it fix it? Who knows? Maybe she'll reach back to us in a year and say, "What you said impacted my life so much that either, you know, still happily married to the same person, or now in a great relationship with somebody else that has the same values as her."
Or doing my own thing and
Yeah.
being prepared for when
Yes.
I am in a relationship.
Yes. So that is what
Oh.
I think of as success in our journey in our book.
Mm,
Sorry.
that's
Didn't mean to
okay.
make you cry.
Um, that means a lot to me, and I could definitely not relate to it in the perspective that you do.
Mm,
Um, when we first got started, or when you first started your channel, we started this channel up.
mm.
It was not, if you're new to the channel, this was not really intended as a relationship
Yeah, I mean,
geared.
whenever we first started this channel, we've rebranded. It was a gaming channel. This has been a 16-year journey for me just to get a comment, and, like, seeing other comments on here, it makes me feel the same way. But actually seeing somebody get help, that was huge. But this has been a 15, 16-year journey for me, because I started doing YouTube in high school. I can't remember what grade, probably ninth or 10th grade.
That's that age
Um,
getting to you,
what do you mean?
the memory.
Oh yeah, I've had a crappy memory for a long time, but and finally starting to see comments, finally starting to see people seeing value in the things that we're saying, and just reaching out to help. I mean, like I said, that's just such a huge thing in my books.
Um,
But
that. well, that's kind of the I don't know. That is a base of the perspective that I have because, I would have never imagined. Side note, I through work had have whatever. There's a podcast that I never intended to be a podcast host. I
Hmm.
didn't mind coming and doing our channel, but I was never really consistent. Never really saw it as like not that I didn't believe it could be sustainable, but like that just like that was your thing.
Yep.
And I would come and support and I had a great time. But I was just there for, banter and poor gaming skills.
Hmm.
Um and then when you talked about us doing this, I thought, oh well this can have value and I could see how it could be important because there are tons of relationship channels out there. I say tons. There's not a lot of husband wife or significant others out there doing content I guess like this because I've tried to see. Um that being said, our experience with the blended family, our personal walks in life, I think give a unique perspective
Yep.
versus the other content creators. And everybody's got different personalities. I
Yep.
don't know why my nose is so itchy, but
I think a lot of them are more probably more geared towards the search engine, which is how to solve this in your marriage, how to solve
right.
that in your marriage. Where, and again,
How to survive this is what we come up under.
yeah, and well, I just really appreciate what we do, but I also appreciate Chris and Peaches, and obviously we gain a lot of inspiration from them. But I think our podcast, mine and yours, and then theirs, do a similar thing of saying, "Here's real us.
Right.
Here's we have cameras, we have lights, but this is us."
Right.
Like especially whenever we get going on Patreon, it's just a lot to. Anyway, don't need to give excuses. Just need to make it happen. Um, this is real us, and you'll see even more of that vulnerable, more graphic conversation whenever we get on there. But yeah, this is just how
And
it is.
I think, sorry,
Go ahead. I was done.
I don't want to, we're on another one of our tangents. I don't want it to sound like we aren't real us. There are some things that I feel like are, if you really want to get into some of the more intimate details of things, some of the more private details, I would like for there to be a safety net for our children or for just the general public where, if you want to talk about, physical intimacy, uh, and you care that deeply about it
Yeah.
or know that in us sharing those details that it may be something that we would need to be independent, this would need
Yeah.
to be our bread and butter for that to be realistic,
And
because
go ahead. Sorry.
for I don't just want anybody who could go on there and take something out of context
Yeah.
just to like rage bait or whatever, or be malicious. There are malicious people out there. Not that anybody I think could ever be malicious to you, but
Hmm.
um, nobody will ever be. Sorry, but
Oh, sorry.
the other part of that is that there is I think anybody could figure out there's a risk to sharing that part of your life. But there's no like this conversation is the same type of conversation we would have behind closed doors. And
Mhm.
also it has brought a lot of closeness to our relationship.
Yeah.
I'm moving off the Patreon thing. So I don't want to let you lose that comment. But this is just as good for us as it is
Yeah, it's very
for y'all.
therapeutic, and I love going back and on editing days, or I'll go back and listen to it on release day, just make sure I didn't miss something in editing, almost like proofreading it, and hearing the information that we have, and just going back and reflecting on the things that we've said. I feel it's almost like journaling. Going back and
Mhm.
reading a journal or something like that is what it feels like. And about the Patreon thing. if we're gonna share extremely intimate things, I think it would be best on Patreon, because if you're paying for that content, I'm hoping you're there just for the value. I hope you're
Right.
not there just to troll comment and things like that. If you're paying money to troll somebody, that's desperate. Okay, go troll somebody else. Go
Right.
troll Mr. Beast or something if you're gonna spend money and try to troll somebody.
Right.
But
But I just didn't want them to think that this is the kind of real version of us.
yeah,
And I hate the concept of, oh, we're just real, like that being the whole shtick of it. There have been times that, like, I was watching our last video, trying to find areas where we could put out the shorts where you guys could get quick hit value or just some funny moments, because those definitely happen, with a stand-up comedian for a husband.
I wish.
And that's why I have all the wrinkles, because I've never laughed so much in my entire life. Somebody was explaining the other day that your face tells the story of your demeanor.
Mhm.
Where, like, if you have that deep wrinkle, that you tend to be worried or angry or whatever. And then if you have these wrinkles, it's from, genuine reaction to people. And then these are from laughter. I was like, yeah, that's Bjorn and I, the smile.
I get these from my sunglasses.
Okay.
I can't help but squint whenever the suns get me.
But I don't really know how to filter, and I just shoot from the hip. Like, notes on making this were only to keep me on track. If you go back and watch our content, you'll see there are times where I have recognized that I was kind of snippy with you in my response. And I allowed my emotion to get the better of me and related or responded in a way I don't like. And I don't want to edit that out, because it holds me accountable, and it helps people see that it is very much a real interaction. And I think same thing with you.
I think one thing that I get from most podcasts and we'll get back to that. One thing that I get from most podcasts that I don't appreciate is that they're perfect. I don't ever want to come off as perfect. We are not in a perfect relationship. We're not perfect people. We love each other very deeply, and we love the imperfections that we have.
Don't do this.
This is how many times we can make Lara cry today podcast.
I'm really trying to keep it together, because I feel like once I get started on
this is what happens whenever I don't have control over the podcast. I just have time to think about things that make you cry.
Oh, killing it. Sorry, that one got me. That's actually kind of the premise. Anybody who knows me, and if you spend, my eyes are tingling.
She has leaky duct syndrome.
Yes. Anybody who knows me, especially if you could watch us at home, would never have a shadow of a doubt that I am head over heels for you. Like, if words of affirmation,
yeah, you are head over heels.
God. Anyway, the actually left me speechless. I don't even know what to say. Okay, hang on. It was good. Words of affirmation are not your thing. You can go back and watch. We covered the 5 love languages. And I know that you have shared with me a multitude of times that they make you uncomfortable. And you've worked on that immensely, like being able to take that. But you had to work on that, because I can't hold it back. Like, I tell you consistently, you're so schmexy. You're so, I don't know if I could say that word on here.
I think you can say that.
You're so sexy. You're so smart. You're such a good dad. You're such a good husband. Even when we have our hard times, I'm thankful for your patience. I'm thankful for who you are. Like, we've talked about obsession too. It feels, like it could be an obsession. It's not. We've figured that out definitionally. Um, but being able to, and this will bring me to my next point here, um, to remember that we're gonna have seasons and we are imperfect
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to have ups and downs. I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Feelings of security, feeling secure and close. And then like for me, feeling insecure about certain things or yeah, I don't know if you ever feel not secure in I don't want to say in our relationship, but maybe in it or about it. But definitely moments where we haven't been as close,
Yeah.
where things have been more challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're a pretty steady Eddie guy.
My name's not Eddie.
There's nothing that rhymes with Bjorn. Not a torn Bjorn. I got nothing. I'm
What
trying.
about
I'll come
corn?
back to that. Huh?
Corn. Corn.
Anyway,
Just give me a little chuckle here, okay?
yeah, I'm trying.
Grasping at straws.
So there are going to be times where maybe you don't feel so close to your significant other
Yeah.
or life is distracting or you guys are going through struggles of your own, in your own internal battles. I am very vocal and mine hit me very viscerally
Mm-hmm.
where you tend to be very stoic about things, and it is because we've learned to communicate that I have learned like, oh, you do have things that you battle with,
Mm-hmm.
or you do have things. We were talking today, just speaking about how men and women process things. And we were talking today about one of the dynamics that has shifted in our life. And I was sharing with you about how I was like, I didn't feel like I dove in like head first. Like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I, just kind of naturally eased into it. And you were like, no. um, and you said, and I did the same thing too.
Mm-hmm.
And I never would have guessed that. I would have guessed that in that type of, dynamic shift because I always saw you so much in a more dominant type role
Mm-hmm.
that you would have consumed all that information and then tried to put that into play
Yeah.
and got that intense about it. So that was really felt like a really good moment to say, oh, you have things that you do just like me.
Yep.
And we were having a discussion the other day and you were saying, I've struggled with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Can I share an analogy that I just thought of?
an analogy?
Yes.
Is that like an allergy to an analogy?
Yes, exactly right, Lara.
Go
Dr.
for it.
Lara.
Oop.
So people say fall in love. Dive headfirst into love. Right? I don't think that's accurate.
This is going to be good, whatever this is.
I think that you climb into love. Let me explain.
Okay.
Love is like a mountain. You start at the bottom and you work your way up, building a relationship. You're climbing into this relationship and you're slowly getting into and not falling into love, climbing into love. You go through acquaintance and into friendship and into
Hopefully.
relationship and then into marriage. And you're slowly climbing up into it. But all it takes is one little misstep, one little grab the wrong rock, and now you're falling out of love. I think that's more accurate than falling into love. You're climbing into love and falling out of it if you're not careful. And that's why love takes so much work and dedication and strength to continue climbing up that mountain. You're never going to reach the top, but you will continue to climb deeper and deeper into love.
That was good. I could see your pleasure with that analogy on your face.
I've been brewing on it for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Like as soon as
being-
you said something about us falling into love and how intense we got into it, I was like, no, we didn't fall into it. We
It's
climbed into it.
or maybe love isn't a mountain, but it's more
Don't
like a
ruin my
gorge.
analogy. Just don't ruin my analogy.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Maybe it's more like a gorge because you're getting deeper and
Gorge.
deeper into love, right? Because
But how do you fall out of it?
you fall
That's
into
why.
a crevasse. I don't
A crevasse.
I
That's
don't
right.
know.
You fall into somebody's crevasse, and that's what ruins your relationship. What is that about? What are you crossing your fingers about?
Falling into your crevasse.
Okay. You fell in my gorge. You're going to end up in somebody else's crevasse if you're not careful. If you let them slip into it like a snake into your crevasse.
And I think maybe mini lesson here on the tangent of we talk about the great outdoors for love analogies. Maybe that is the problem when people do fall out of love or they have those hardships that they can't endure.
Mhm.
And maybe that's why we've been able to work through all that we have because we started out as friends or acquaintances, then friends, and then our relationship grew from there.
Mhm.
And why I really don't get sick of being around you. Like I enjoy quiet time and I enjoy like being able to work through things on my own or just, being alone in my thoughts
Mhm.
for the most part. I've come to enjoy that. I did
Yeah.
not codependent me, not with us, which is again, feel very fortunate for, but in the past, codependent me needed that
Yeah.
where I now want to be with you all the time.
Which is so much more powerful to me than needing me.
Absolutely.
I would 1,000 times, and I may have said this before in the podcast, but I just want to reiterate for any of you guys who are new here. You said, I need you. I need you. And it hit
In
me.
the most loving
Sure. Yeah.
type of way.
But it hit me, and I was like, that's dangerous. If you
Mhm.
need me, if you don't want air, you need air
Mhm.
to live. If you need me to live, there's a problem. You want me, and that is much more powerful because it's not something that you're just grasping onto because you have to. It's an obligation to have me. It's you want to love and cherish me just like I want to love and cherish you versus I need you. It's an emergency if I don't have you, which makes a panic and can cause strife.
And I think people use that term or that way of feeling about a relationship. I struggled to get that one out. Um, because it does seem and it has been very romanticized.
Yeah.
Love songs about how can I breathe with no air, talking about, I don't know if that's what that song was about, but talking about, I love you so much. It's like needing my next breath. Like
Yeah.
that is very romantic
Mhm.
to think that, food, water, sleep, that's
Yeah.
all I need in life. And you can feel that deeply. And like, I am so deeply and madly could be a whole nother tangent we could talk about in
Mhm.
love with you, that I would rather skip a meal and be with you,
Yep.
but not to my own detriment.
Yep.
And when I would say like I need you versus I want you, like I always want you, but like I need you.
Yep.
I never intended it to be in a codependent way, but I'm glad that that came up because that is something where like especially with all that you have helped me through, continue to help me through, and the self-discovery I feel like we've both been able to do with one another.
Mhm.
And the how we continue to grow and become better people with one another.
Mhm.
Um, there was a point in time where I felt like I can't fathom doing this with anyone else.
Yep.
Like to the heartache and the things that I feel like it took to find you.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to I need my forever person to be you.
Yep.
But to your point, like if something happened to you, I I can do this without
Yep.
you. And the life lessons you've helped me learn and we've learned together
Mhm.
are things that I can take with me forever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a couple things there. One is I really wish, and I hope with our podcast, one thing that we normalize is saying, "I want you," because I remember whenever I first said, "No, you don't need me, you want me." you really took that to heart. Like that really hurt you that I said that. Or actually, I said, I don't need you. I want you. And that's how that came up. It wasn't you saying it first and me replying to that. But that really hurt you. Like you cried over me saying, I want you instead of need you. And
Mhm.
whenever I finally explained it and said, that's more important, you got it. And it was like, oh, you're right.
Mhm.
And we discovered the dangers of needing somebody
Right.
and what happens whenever that person passes away. It's not and that's the second point that I wanted to get to is um there's so many people that will say I would die if you died. And that's such a dangerous mindset to be in. Is it literal? Probably not for most people. There are some people out there that would, but whenever you're needing somebody to that desperation and the inevitable happens, one of us is going to die first, unless we get into a terrible car accident and we both die together. One of us is going to have to die first. I mean, is going to die first, and one of us is going to have to take care of everything, whether it's a funeral, kids, grandkids, whatever. We're going to have to be here and survive the other one, and carry on the legacy that whoever dies first has left behind. And you know, the only way you can do that is by wanting to do that and wanting to do that for the other
Honor
person.
their memory
Yes.
and honor where they were in your life.
Yes.
Reflexively, and this is back to just being us. My my mom thought about the older couples who like have lived their long happy life. They've got great grandkids, and
Mhm.
one of them passes away, and it does happen where the other dies of heartache.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what happened to Johnny Cash.
and I thought, how moving is that?
Yep.
And but based on what you're saying, it's like I I have such mixed emotions because obviously I would want to go on and honor your memory and oh pop tell the great grandkids Papa was this great man, and which they would obviously know, but be able to honor who you were with my life.
Mhm.
But at the same time, if we're that old and my life partner, we've talked about same best friend, like, though I feel like you are my best friend, you're my husband,
Mhm.
but you are also my best friend. Like,
Whenever
in a I have a best friend, my
Yeah.
female best friend, and I'm still sad that I don't get to spend near as much time with her, and she lives in a whole nother state, whatever. But I have a hard time like wanting to socialize with other people because I can do all the fun stuff
Yeah,
with you.
exactly. Um, yeah, I think I've said before, you're not my best friend, you're my wife.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was about to kinda backtrack on that and say, "Oh, maybe not, maybe you are my best friend too." But as I was reflecting on that at the same time, no, you're my wife, which encompasses that. It's just like the mountain analogy. We went from best friends, and then now you're my wife, which everything down below is applicable. You are my best friend. You are my confidant. You are the person that I can rely on and lean on. You are all these different things in one title that you earned, you know? This is a rough episode for you.
Sorry.
I almost got myself there.
Mm. I don't know if I can right now.
See, I save up all the words of affirmation for the show so you can go back and reflect on them.
Sorry.
Okay. Take your time.
Oh, that one's rough, y'all. Um, and there really does.
While you're getting yourself back together, I want to tell you something that always breaks my heart. Um,
Trying to even it out.
yeah, is, you know, going back to the elderly. who somebody, the wife or the husband passes away. You see this more in the men, but the men will, not just men, one person, generally the men, will have loved their wife so deeply that they're just like, I'm just waiting to see her. I'm just waiting to go see Beverly. I'm just, God take me anytime now. And they're like 101, survived her for 10 years already. He's like, just waiting. The sad flip side of that, though, this is the most heartbreaking thing for me, is whenever you have a spouse that sits there every day of their relationship saying, I love you so much. I have every moment of our life I have spent loving you and all this different stuff. And then they pass away, they're heartbroken. And then a few months later, it's like all those things, their life, they remember it, they cherish it, but then they start kind of crap talking their spouse. And it'll start out small. It'll be like the family member will come to the surviving spouse and say, Mima was such a good woman, and the papa would say, yeah, she was, except for this one thing. And it'll be like one little tiny thing. And then later on it'll turn into bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like, did you even like the woman? Did you even like your spouse? You know
I
what I
wonder if
mean?
that's a coping mechanism.
I
Like,
don't know.
I have to pick it apart, and how dare she leave me? And now I'm trying to like focus on, well, she left me behind.
I don't know. It's so
I've
confusing to me.
never seen that.
You have. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll explain
Okay.
later. Yeah, that one's kind of a private one. But
Well, okay. We think that did help balance that out. Thank you. So probably not, because I'm going to get right back into it. Just like with the earth, and again, the notes to a couple of these things are the last part is really what's the most important, because it's kind of funny to me, but not. So just like with our world, there are seasons. It's not always, unless you live in Florida. There,
I mean, this year,
right?
you didn't see the snow and stuff, but it felt like it could have started snowing.
Oh
any
yeah,
minute.
this has been the most seasonal Florida season
It's
that
still
there ever
cold.
is. It's like chilly today,
Yeah.
and it's going to be cold tomorrow,
Dang it, I
because
wanted to go
I'm getting
kayaking.
all them weather. I didn't even think about that.
I'm going either way. I'll freeze out there on that water. I don't care.
The seasons are going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to go through ups and downs, and you're going to have really, really harsh winters,
Mm-hmm.
and really, really hot summers, and really dry or overly wet springs, or I don't know what happens in fall, but fall's pretty dope if you ask me. But to that point, I saw a video. I wish I could give credit where credit is due. This is not something I said or thought on my own. This is something I saw someone see or say, but it was, and why this hit me so hard, I guess my perfectionism, um, which I've tried to address. But for me, I love you so much that I don't ever want to make you unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I hate, despite it not seeming that way in the moment, I hate arguing. I hate discourse. I hate failing myself, and then us
Mm-hmm.
and you. And I want to be so perfect that we don't ever have an argument. We don't ever have discord. Even when we don't agree. I mean, the whole goal of everything that we do here is to try to have the best marriage that we could possibly have.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, sorry about that. At the end of the day, like, it is, you find someone that you can be imperfect with, that
Mm-hmm.
you know that you can disappoint. And not like, obviously there are some things like you're not going to go, oh, well, let me make sure that I can, break vows with
Yep.
them because they can forgive me and we can weather that. But someone where if you make them angry, that's okay.
Yep.
and
Let me,
someone that can handle your flaws
mhm,
because we're flawed humans.
mhm.
And
Can I
yeah.
elaborate more on the disappointing part? What I think you're saying is, um, your your spouse should be your safe person that you can disappoint, not that you're doing it on purpose and not that you're trying to go out of your way to do something extreme like you've kind of alluded to. You know, just because they are your safe person doesn't mean you get to take advantage of it and go cheat and lie and do these things that you know that y'all have discussed and said that you weren't going to do, you
Right.
know. And yeah, I mean, don't take advantage of your person. That's the main thing of it.
A couple examples I could think of for both, one on each side, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that when you're, from us ladies, when we get monthly moody,
Hmm.
that maybe we are kind of snippy, or maybe we say things in a not as gingerly sort of way, or, we, even if you don't have that kind of, you know, femininely reaction to certain things. Maybe you know that you're not great with words and you stick your foot in your mouth,
Hmm.
and your person, while some people are more forgiving with it, right? Some people, oh, I know it's just, this reason or that reason.
Hmm.
And I'll let it slide. Or maybe they have a stronger personality and they don't let someone do that. But you know that every day they wake up and they forgive you.
Hmm.
Um, that does not give you the right to not try to be a better person, or to try and fix yourself or resolve those issues, because you know that person will forgive you.
Hmm.
And you definitely don't take it for granted,
Yeah.
because at any moment, that thing that you're not doing, that they're exceptionally patient with, they may say, I'm done.
Hmm.
And maybe they don't have the communication skills to sit down and say, hey, we need to have a conversation. What you're doing is hurting me. I don't like it. I'm not going to tolerate it. Here's my boundary. I just had an aha moment for myself. Um, and you not put in effort to do that.
Hmm.
And I'm going to talk right now out of a very honest moment. When I am triggered because of my trauma emotionally,
Hmm.
I have a really hard time with letting things go.
Hmm.
Not that I would, not in a forgiveness sort of way, but like I need resolution to whatever it is that has triggered me.
Hmm.
I need to feel heard. I need to feel understood. And there are times where you can see beyond what I can see. And then you have that aha moment. Maybe we're engaged in a unhealthy communication, or even any communication. Um, in that heat of that moment, where you realize it's not going anywhere.
Hmm.
We need to be done with that. And so your boundary is when I say stop, stop. And there are times in my mind, every time, where I'm like, okay, we've stopped. And then I'll leave. And I have been guilty of coming back and trying to, I'm just going to say this because I'm not feeling heard. I am now triggered. I'm panicking, and I'm not respecting your boundary.
Hmm.
And you're still here, or, we are still married. You wake up every day, we choose to love each other, no matter how we've behaved or no matter how we've addressed each other.
Hmm.
Because you are doing that does not give me the right to continue to fail in that area. Even though, and from my perspective, I try to work on that thing. Um, in those moments, I've got to learn to do better. Otherwise, I am taking for granted
Hmm.
that forgiveness. Don't do that. I'm saying that to myself, where I need to even more refine that, because I don't ever want to take advantage of you being a person
Hmm.
and your willingness to forgive.
Hmm.
And um and likewise, well, this is a tough one. Likewise, ladies, if your man goes to work and he gets home and he could be kind of short with you. And or men, this one's for the men. Let's say you go to work and you've worked a long, hard day, and you know that when you get home, you kind of detach, right? You need that time to, you've been and doing AC, HVAC work, whatever. It's 105 degrees, whatever you're doing.
You're in a cross space all day.
Yeah, and it's just been like you just need a moment to relax, and your wife is always patient with you. She's always understanding of, okay, I'll do that, but she keeps expressing like, hey, I've been home with the kids all day, or I've been at work too, or I really need some of you,
Yeah.
or I need my own downtime, or whatever it is that she might be expressing she needs, but she keeps showing up every day. Even though every day in your mind you could justify the heat, you could with the heat, or because you have needs too, or maybe you're not even sure what that means to her. That does not mean that you get to keep doing that.
Yeah.
With assurance that, oh, they're not going anywhere, or oh well, we're married, I don't have to take that for granted. This is my analogy I got really excited about. When we talk about seasons, just like we prepare for winter with jackets, or when summer comes, we try to do all the fun summer things and need to revel in every memory that we make, all those beach moments, or, in the fall, especially if you live up north. Not that I ever lived up north, but I've watched a lot of documentaries. They prepare for winter by, like in Alaska, getting all their food prepped, and, that they could be very harsh winters. They are prepared. You should be prepared, just like, you don't want to wear jeans and your boots and your jacket all through summer. Be prepared with the right tools.
Yep.
The right outfits, the right skills for the job. So, and like in a relationship, I think about, being prepared for, hey, we're going to have these hardships. Well, how do you resolve those and make sure that, come the next season, the next year, the next time the season of your life comes around, that you aren't ill-equipped for it, and continue to, like the kid every winter was like, I don't have a jacket, Oh, even if they have 100 jackets in their room, that's just our teens, I guess. But being able to learn from the last season, know when you should enjoy that season, and how not to be wearing, not to walk around with, I think about, that's another one where I toot your horn. If we get into a disagreement, I will wear our disagreement winter jacket, and I could wear it for days and weeks, not out of anger toward you, but anger toward myself, frustration toward myself for having disappointed. Where the next morning you're up in your beach shorts, like ready to roll out, like you're done with that. You left that season, that moment of our life has passed.
Yep.
We learn what we got to learn, and then we move forward. And I think that is something we can all take with us, because you don't need to wear, there's some things that you should wear a jacket for a little bit.
Yep.
Like, it's still cold outside,
The nips are still a little hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I help summarize? This guy named The Wisdom of Odin, and he has a podcast called The Tree of Life, and they were talking about in the New Year episode, how, just like you're saying, everything has seasons. The earth has seasons, life has seasons. And now this is when I'm going to use that template to start using for our situation. And relationships have seasons. And it's just like you're saying, you can have fun. Well, let me break down the seasons. So you have, and how they work. So all the seasons are a story of life and death, and it's how you prepare for it.
Right.
So spring is life, winter is death, and it's a cyclical thing. It's going to happen again and again, over and over. Um, so you can spend the puppy dog stages or the good times, summer and spring, playing around, having a good time, and that's all you're doing. But whenever fall comes around, you're hurrying, just like the squirrels, to gather the nuts and bury them. But how many are you going to have there during winter? Does you
I don't think squirrels bury nuts. I got
They do.
stuck on that. I
They
thought they put
absolutely
them
do.
in a tree. Go
No,
ahead.
they absolutely bury them. That's how trees get pop up. Not all of them, but that's how some trees come
I knew that.
up. So you can either be that person, or you can be the person, the realist that says, the fight's going to come. You and I are going to get into it. That's a fact. That is going to happen. But because we've spent our spring and fall doing, not spring and fall, spring and summer doing research, educating ourselves on each other and educating ourselves on how to mentally prepare for those moments and how to defuse them. Now in the fall, we have a much bigger harvest. And in the winter, we're not going to starve to death. We're going to survive and thrive in the winter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That much better said than I was what I was doing. You had time to stew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's so kind of beautiful how life follows that, and that if you are in a situation where maybe in your life it has been winter
Mhm.
for a really long time,
Mhm.
and
You're living in Alaska.
yeah, and that jacket has got some holes in
Mhm.
it, and like you don't know how much longer you can survive. Your wood pile's real thin.
Yep.
You're on your reserves. Um, you can always educate yourself
Mhm.
and grow and be a better person for yourself individually and
Mhm.
find out, okay, well, me personally, I could survive if I cut back here and I,
Yep.
patch this hole. And, you're not ever going to be able to fix another person. And if
Yep.
you go into any relationship thinking you could fix, save, or force
Mhm.
anybody to do anything, you're going to freeze.
Yep.
You're going to struggle.
Here's a good way
Um,
to think about that, and keeping in the winter seasonal analogy. You can spend your seasons, and this is as a couple, you and me, okay? I'm spending my seasons having fun, relaxing in the sun, doing nothing, while you're spending your seasons, uh, you know, chopping down trees, gathering food, canning things, educating yourself on how to survive a harsh winter. And you're going to look over at my house and you're going to see that the last light has fallen and I'm freezing. There's nothing you can do to save that. There's nothing that you can do because the second that you send over your firewood, now you're going to be freezing. Now you're going to be starving. And now your things are going to be, you're not going to be able to help anybody anymore. You're not going to be able to maintain your family and your sanity mainly. And what I mean by that is you can't help your spouse. You can educate yourself to learn how to defuse fights, but they have to want it. They have to want to go to counseling. They have to want to read books like this. They have to want to educate themselves and prepare themselves for arguments, fights, and how to diffuse it. You know?
um, I totally agree with everything you said. The part where I kind of like had the head tilt was that you can't, I think, to be clear, and we'll go with it. When I think about winter, I think about, depression coming and whatever.
Hmm.
And maybe you're with somebody who has never been prepared for seasons.
Hmm.
Maybe they've never been taught how to chop wood. Maybe they have lived a summer life their whole life, or
Hmm.
maybe they don't even recognize that, oh, well, it's 90 degrees outside, and the sun is shining and whatever. I should be enjoying it. Maybe
Hmm.
they've just been, riding it out with a pair of jeans and a t-shirt the whole
Hmm.
time. Maybe they don't live in Alaska in their mind,
Yep.
whatever seasonal analogy you want to put here. I think it's important, like we have the calendars and we have the weather app, to follow what the weather's going
Yeah.
to be. if you're with somebody who doesn't understand seasons,
Mhm.
who maybe doesn't even have awareness that these things are going on, because some people, I'm telling you, so many divorces, there's somebody usually who it has been done for a long time,
Mhm.
and the other person thinks everything's just fine.
Yep.
Um, that is where the two of you, and why it's so important to go through that, gosh, that was, through that friendship stage, and then through the,
Bless you. Bless you.
oh, don't do that.
Yes. I saved you from another sneeze.
Save me from the best feeling up there with, anyway, um, I think going back to having that time of friendship, of courtship, of getting to know one another and the book, the All About Us, what was it
Any
called?
of those question books
Yeah,
for relationships.
where the relationship prerequisite questions that you
Yep.
really should know. How do you solve problems together? If you've never put yourself in those situations, how are you going to know? Does this person, plant and prepare and get the winter jackets down and all that, or do
Mhm.
they just float from summer to summer, or do they not even know it's seasons?
Yep.
If you don't have those communications, conversations, those preparedness moments, you may end up with somebody who you think just doesn't care about the seasons, but may not even recognize.
Yep.
Or maybe you get into a lot of these arguments and you're not talking about how do we solve this. You're talking about, that why you're angry.
Yep.
You're only expressing the hurt and not ever coming to a resolution. I think it's important to share that if you are in a situation where you've given them, the survival guide
Yep.
to XYZ, that you have done everything you can do to lead by example. Obviously, there's circumstances where this isn't applicable if you are in a toxic, detrimental
Mhm.
relationship. It doesn't matter if, they have the skill set or not. You should not keep yourself and say you should not live in the outdoors in Alaska in a tent.
Mhm.
But I do think that there are times in relationships where you may be with someone who is ill-equipped, but given the opportunity to understand that about themselves and to make the necessary changes, do that.
Yep.
Like, absolutely give your relationship a fighting chance, um, if possible.
Mhm.
But you cannot sustain that year over year
Yep.
over year. There
That's
has to
exactly
come
what
a point where you say, "We've done all this. I've tried to help you with that." And that's where the apathy and the not willingness to change. And that is where you have to set yourself some boundaries. Now, I don't think either of us are suggesting, go through a couple years of seasons and then just walk away. Like saying you setting boundaries and saying that if this doesn't change, this is
Mhm.
going to be the result. Here are the tools.
Yep.
This is what I've given you. But nobody's advocating here for divorce.
Yep.
But there does come a point where you can only weather so much
Mhm.
till your light starts to
I
go
was
out.
about to say, how many years do you have to watch somebody as you're sitting there preparing every single year and they come knocking on the door and you give them firewood or you give them that book every single spring? You give them that book. Here, I saw you struggle last year. Here's that survival guide, or here's this book.
Right.
Here's these tools that you can use. And you see them just every single winter. That light's about to flicker out, and then you see it spark up one more time. That's the survival book going into that fire instead of being used to
Mm,
learn how to generate the tools and the assets that you need, they use it as that last little bit of kindling and barely make it through the storm one more time. How many times do we have to suffer there with them because they've dragged you out of your house into their house, or better yet, you threw that safety line, and instead of taking the safety line and getting themselves up, they tug you back into the water.
right.
How many
Right.
times do you have to do that before you realize this ain't working, buddy?
Right.
I've offered counseling. I've offered books. I've offered podcasts. I've offered everything to you. And time after time, you're sitting here telling me that you're not willing to do it. How many times do I have to deal with this?
And especially now, I feel like anybody married after like the internet really took hold, or anybody dating, anybody in any type of
Yep.
relationship at this point, it is, if you have access to the internet, you have access to all the information. Now, I'm not saying there isn't a place for counseling.
Mhm.
I'm not saying there isn't a place where you might need somebody to do an emergency drop.
Mhm.
I don't know why I keep going back to Alaska. Or you might need the AC guys to come fix your AC.
Yep.
Not saying to go be with another man. I'm just saying you might need help because you don't quite know how to use all the tools that
Yep.
you can find. But at this point, saying that you don't know how or what to do, there are so many resources out there. We are one of many content creators with being willing to give advice and life experience. You
Mhm.
don't have to take ours. You might
Yep.
not, you run the AC in the summer.
Yep.
Maybe you're a windows open, whatever type of gal, or box fan, or maybe you just like the heat. Who knows?
Yep.
Um, you know, there are so many places to get help. And I will tell you now, we are not sponsored by, but if anybody at BetterHelp wants me to come over there and be a sponsor, or work with me, I will shout from the rooftops
Yep.
that for me personally, just to survive my own seasons,
Mhm.
and I got a lot more than 4 of them,
Mhm.
I have 4 of them, but and sometimes it's Sprummer and I don't know,
Swimper.
Swincher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? But I fully believe that I'm going to say this boldly. I am sitting here today still because I chose to start engaging in counseling.
Mhm.
We are still married. I am still functional with any relationship in my life, but especially for my own seasons, because I went and I connected to BetterHelp. And maybe you forgo a new swimsuit every summer to pay for whatever it is. But I have been researching free counseling online. There are resources, and they are hard to find. And maybe that's something I'll try to pull together. But do the work. Don't share content out of spite and be
Yeah,
like,
that's the biggest thing.
mm,
Look, they have a perfect relationship, why can't we be like that?
right.
Don't ever do that.
Don't ever compare yourself to content creators, don't ever compare yourself
Yes.
to anyone.
You
That is hard in this society, but
Not even in this
or in
society.
general,
You
yeah.
you are a human being with their own story, with your own pencil writing that story. And you chose to be with somebody else with their little journal who also is writing their story. And no books are the same. No two journals are going to be the same. And you comparing your notes to somebody else's, that is wrong of you. And especially if you're doing it out of spite.
Right.
Love yourself, love the person that you're with, and cherish the notebooks that you've written together. Swap notes and compare notes and see how each other are doing instead of comparing how other people are doing.
Right.
You know.
I think we'll both be the first. We can't both be the first. You could be the first. I'll be the second. We already talked about 1 and 2. To tell you that what you guys see here is a product of a lot of work.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Continuous work.
continue
Yes.
exactly. And I will say that I never want to stop working. There's never, because we change as people, our tactics have to change,
Yep.
just like the styles change,
Yep.
what, and the weather changes. And a relationship, while it is work, is totally worth it, because those memories where you are on the beach or kayaking or fishing or whatever it is that you're doing in your life, and the memories that you make together, and this is applicable to any relationship,
Hmm.
are so much sweeter when you are growing together
Hmm.
instead of growing apart. And
Yep.
I'm the term apart from one another. You should be apart from one another, growing, but then coming together to grow together and coming together to strategize how
Yep.
you enjoy those the seasons and prepare for the harder ones. And um you know we have not always been as prepared as we should be. I don't think I would venture to say that while we had a couple tools in our toolbox or a couple swim trunks and some
Yep.
film and a camera, I don't think we were ever prepared. And I say that even in a positive light. I was never prepared to laugh so much or to have so much fun. And it it still never ceases to amaze me that even in the harshest of seasons that we've been through, that I can't put into words how much more sweet it's been during the good ones.
Hmm.
I never know what's going to come up next. I never
Yep.
know what adventure we're going to do. I never know. Our dynamic creates this life of adventure.
Yep.
And sometimes the adventure is, maybe it's not outside of the house. We have been in the bedroom just having our own little,
Yeah.
you
Maybe it's
know,
just playing Power for a day.
yeah, or
I
whatever.
was gonna
Yeah.
say a few hours, but nah.
And remember that as individuals also, because you're still a person, like you said,
Yep.
two different journals, that you still need to have your own seasons and still
Yep.
go do things that are important to you. And if you don't have a spouse who doesn't try to kick you out of the house to go be with friends or,
Yeah.
talk you into, going to see your best friend in another state or, doing things for yourself, because they'll know that if you go and have a good time, that it's only gonna benefit the
Yep.
whole.
You saying that kind of reminds me of another thing that I should have said whenever I was making the analogy of like watching the other person's light go out. Um, if you've sat there and watched somebody and you're prepared for winter, you're all completely prepared. You have your hot chocolate in hand. You're watching the first snow coming down, and you know that you're gonna make it. Um, and you watched your partner sit there and do their best, sit there and cut down a few trees, but they just couldn't get that last one down. Give them a couple pieces of wood, make it through. And what I mean by this is if your partner is sitting there doing the work, they're sitting there reading the books, they're sitting there watching the podcast, they're doing all the things, they're going to counseling, they're doing everything in their power to do the best that they can, and they happen to stumble, they happen to, you know, mental health crisis, illnesses, anything like that, be there to support them. There's no reason why you should be resentful for them getting sick or having a mental problem or anything like that. It's your responsibility. And I've talked about this multiple times on this podcast. It is your responsibility as a spouse to be
Just
there
put it
for your
back on.
partner, to be there for your partner and raise them up in the time of need. If you see them doing the work like you do, I'm just going to be really poignant here. I see you working. I see you doing the work. I see you going to counseling. I see you doing all the things. I see you taking care of the family and the kids and taking care of me and everybody. And you're doing the work. Why wouldn't I have the joy of raising you up and helping you?
I will, just to make it relatable, because if anybody else struggles with that, I have a hard time feeling like, because I have so many seasons, um, that I deserve that grace, because I know I really am doing the things. It goes back to, like, I really don't want to hurt or disappoint you, because you are doing work too.
Yeah.
You've got your own things. But you have way less seasons. You're pretty much a summer all year round kind of guy. Um,
That's because I'm constantly preparing for winter.
And even when you weren't at, using your winter preparedness, when you weren't aware, though, sometimes your seasons come around more so than you expected with certain, I know that I can bring on a much more intensity, where if you've got somebody who's just kind of like a in between seasons all the time, like another steady Eddie in a different
Yeah.
way. I know that that can make it more of a need to prepare. Um, but there is some guilt associated with having mental health issues, and that's something that I work on in, counseling. And not even saying mental health issues that aren't understandable,
Mhm.
things that trauma, circumstances that you're in, work, life, whatever.
Yeah.
Some things I don't even want to call it like I would hate to put the term mental health and someone think that, oh, you've got like some people are really suffering with like BPD and
Mhm.
multiple personalities. Not that Sarah doesn't, my other personality when I'm not, trying to use all my tools
Yeah.
and I'm just like burning the whole house down with all the kindling or whatever. But I want people to know that going through mental health with emotional challenges and where it feels like a mental health crisis even
Mhm.
does not make you mentally ill or mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Like it is all circumstantial, which is again why I suggest doing your own research, getting help, whatever it is that you need to do. But if you're out there and you're struggling with the acceptance of that and feeling worthy of that, I get it. And not everybody is as fortunate to have somebody in their life like you. And it can be scary because you wonder at some point, like, when's he gonna stop, throwing me a piece of firewood every
Yeah.
now and then. Um, but I do very much appreciate that. And my hope would be for the person who is being supported with a loving spouse is that you help your spouse's summers be really great
Mhm.
and that you try to when you are out of the hardship seasons and those hardship moments that you do everything that you can while in them what you can to be participating.
Mhm.
Don't just allow the other person to keep giving you that's back to the taking advantage.
Yeah.
But also uh to even if they're always in summer to be like, "Oh, here's another, you know, here's another more I don't think martinis are beach drinks, but here's
Here's another
another
pina colada.
thank you. Thank you. Another pina colada.
I want a pina colada now.
It does sound delicious, the coconut at least. So anyway, uh yeah, so happy spring is where all that came from. And
Can I help land the plane real quick?
oh, you could land the
I'm gonna
plane
be
because I'm still
a co-pilot for a second.
rattled. No, you can take
Um.
Bjorn, take the wheel.
So be prepared. I think is the biggest takeaway from this episode. If you're married and y'all are both supporting each other, prepare for those moments. Prepare for the
Winter
rocky.
is coming.
Yep, exactly. Prepare for the rocky moments. If you're married and your spouse isn't ready to accept advice, accept these different tools, prepare yourself because those moments are going to be more frequent. And the more prepared you are, the less treacherous those moments will be. And if you're single, prepare yourself so
We
you
hopefully we haven't scared them out of ever
yeah.
getting into summer or spring.
Well, if you're prepared, I mean, if you're single, prepare yourself to find that person who's also prepared for those hard times. Don't settle for somebody who isn't going to be prepared ever because you are never going to be truly happy.
And know yourself.
Yep.
Don't just
Yep.
be prepared not only in context of a relationship, but
Hmm.
for your own seasons.
Yeah. And all of this is applicable for friends, for love
Absolutely.
relationships, for family relationships. Those, I mean, the having a child or having a parent, sometimes you have to be prepared for those moments too, and be prepared to watch a light go out, unfortunately. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was a long one, I think. Um, but it had a lot of
I
valuable
thought it was
moments
going
in
to
it.
be a short at
I did
first.
too. That's why I was like kind of patting the beginning of it. I was like, oh, I think this one might be short. I think it might be like a Dungeon Master thing where you have your notes prepared and then it's like, you run through all the notes in the first 5 minutes and then you have to kind of create things for an hour. But no, yeah. So that was good. Good job, Blair. That was really good.
Thanks. Good job, Bjorn. Got your tears in there.
Yep.
So, all right.
Yep.
Did
All
you
right.
end it already?
Nope. I'm ending it now.
Oh, okay.
So,
Sorry.
one more time, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the email, check out our Facebook. That's where
Please.
we put some behind the scenes stuff, kind of like Blair and I adventuring and with the kids and everything. And as always, stay a little odd.
Because we are.
See you on the next one.